My name's Mandy Curtis. I live here at Topnace Homestead. We've been out here, I think we first moved out this way in about 1985 when we bought Glencoe. And within 2 or 3 years of having Glencoe, we moved into the main house here. We actually lived in a caravan right on this spot for 12 months or so, I think, for a bit. Kelvin's parents built a house down in Tharwa, in the village of Tharwa, so they moved out, and we started squatting in the house, and there we've stayed.
Hello, my name's Tori Curtis. I was born in here in 1999.
So there's 5 generations of the family living here. It started with Kelvin's great-grandparents, Tom and Ada Oldfield. Kelvin's grandmother, Iris Oldfield, was born in the house, and then Kelvin's parents lived in it, Esme and Norman Curtis, and then Kelvin and I moved in late 80s, early 90s, and then hopefully Tori and Pat will then come and live in the house, and that'll be 5 generations. When they have their children, hopefully it'll be 6 generations. What's special to me on the property here is just the beauty. The beauty of this whole area is stunning. My background is I'm the daughter of an Air Force officer. I've travelled the world. I met Kelvin and his family when they had to move into town. For his 2 younger siblings were both family deaf, had to go to school in Canberra, and they moved in across the road. When I first came out here, I just thought this was beautiful, and I often said to my father-in-law, I want to die here. This is my home. So I don't know what appeals to me about the place, but I just love it. I just think it's beautiful.
I love being out here. It's so open. Got all my animals with me. There's no one else around. Just love it.
What I'd love to protect about living here is the peace and solitude. It's just, it's a calming influence coming home from work every day when I'm in town. It's just lovely to drive up the driveway and know that the place is peace and quiet, and there's no intrusions of noise or, I don't know, it's just so peaceful, and I want to protect that. I've always said this is a very silent little part of the world, which we want to keep that way.
We currently have 45 head of breeding cattle, and me and my partner just bought 200 head of sheep a couple of weeks ago.
So I think the future plan is to breed up your sheep.
Yeah, to breed up what we got and hopefully get a bit more head on here. Yeah. We're currently working at Baroomba Station with John Nana Hiles. Learning heap there actually. Learned a lot of things in the last couple of years.
Come on.
So, a long time ago, I got given a pony. That's when I literally fell in love with horses. I've been riding since I was 4 or 5. Got 2 of my own horses now, and love to start training and breeding horses in a few years, hopefully.
In the past, with my father-in-law running the farm, we found he was using very old-fashioned style of farming and ploughing and working the stock. With Kelvin taking over the place and trying to introduce his father to more modern style of farming, it was a few arguments were coming up. Father-in-law couldn't quite see the benefit of the new style of farming, which is now quite old style of farming, but for example, the sheep yards when we first came here were in a really bad way, so they had to be repaired. The cattle yards were just completely pulled down and moved to a spot that's better to load cattle to and from stockyards. Father-in-law couldn't quite see the benefit of that and actually thought that why get new stuff when the old yards are still working and it's just a waste of money. Ploughing paddocks was the old disc plough version with going round and round circles with the disc plough, and then round and round circles with the scarifier afterwards, and then attempting to sow it. Whereas Colvin has purchased a direct drill, which he finds is so much better for the land. It doesn't ruin the land as much as what the old disc plough does. With all the changes that were going on with trying to keep up with the new style of farming, I found I was part of the background and supporting Colv with completing forms and applying for loans and grants to help maintain and getting Top Nace sort of back into the current picture of how farming should be. I enjoyed doing that, but I actually find that I do quite enjoy getting out on the land and seeing it, how everything works firsthand without being sitting in the office just doing the paperwork. When Tori was born, the farming community always expect everybody should have a son to take on, the farm and for the future of farming in Australia, if not ACT, you need to have a son. Somebody said to my husband, to Colv, when Tori was born, "Are you disappointed she wasn't a boy?" And I was very cranky. But Tori has grown up on the farm. She loves the farm, and she would outdo a lot of the young farmers, young blokes in the area, well and truly. She would out-farm them without problems. So no, I am not disappointed I didn't have a boy.
So me and Pat are really excited to get the opportunity to run the family farm and take over. And
Tori and Pat will eventually take over the running of Top Nace Homestead, but part of the agreement was they have to build us a retirement home across the paddock. We've always said we never want to leave here. One day they might take us out in an ambulance to go to retirement home, but we're hoping that our last days will be at Top Nace because we just love the place so much. And for Tori and Pat to take over running of the farm and taking over the house, and having the future on Top Nace is all that Colvin and I could ask for.